they are pricing Jackson at 80 million pounds. That's crazy. I mean, you look at some of the figures that Chelsea are selling their players for. Absolutely crazy. You understand? But I do not think that Isak to Liverpool is going to happen this particular summer.
They were meant players like Pele, players like Didi, players like Garrincha, players like Maradona, players like Mario Kempes. They couldn't win because they were not playing in Europe. And even when Maradona got a chance to play in Europe, he couldn't win because he wasn't an European player. So it is European players playing in Europe.
Being at risk, I mean,
so
it's called financial engineering.
With all of these big names you are talking about, they might pay just 60 million this season. In their books, that's 60 million they are paying. So if you are talking about they spend all the money at a go, that one is not going to happen because they didn't pay their buyout clause, so that one is out. And the replacement, Jota is not there, Nunes is not there, and you also have Diaz not being there. So it means that now they would have to replace. And apart from that too, they are thinking of either winning the Champions League or replace it or defending the league or both.
Season under review. And so when you have an award scheme being manipulated and then people don't even follow the criteria, that's the reason why for somebody like me, I would not rate the Ballon d'Or as very credible. I think that voted for.
So from 56 all the way to 1995, the criteria was simple and very, very straightforward. An European player playing in Europe, and the criteria was fair play and the player's overall career within the year and individual performance over the year. So that was how it was. And the panel was strictly for UEFA journalists.
Welcome along, everybody. Sammy here, and this is Sports 101. We're back with another exciting episode for you. Remember, you can like, subscribe, share your thoughts with us, whatever you think, your opinion, and everything that we're discussing. I'm here with the guys. Percy is here, Kofi is here, and today we have some interesting topics for you. And obviously, the transfers are, heating up. Lots of interesting stories, lots of interesting moves happening, lots of rumors happening as well. Just 2 days ago, we heard about United's bid for Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig. We've heard about Newcastle United also bidding for the player, and now it's up to the player to make a decision as to whether he would be interested in moving to Man United or Newcastle United. The tabloids favor a move to Man United per the reports that we are getting. And so that's exciting news for United fans. Still on Man United, there's talks about, Baleba, that's Carlos Baleba from Brighton and Hove Albion. Talks about him catching the eye of Man United. As to whether United are going to make a move for Carlos Baleba, we are hoping to see how that one plays out. We know he won't come for cheap, but the United fans seem very, very excited about these rumors. Liverpool are also still in the transfer markets. There are reports about Liverpool still very interested in signing still signing Alexander Isak from Newcastle United. Newcastle, on the other hand, are rumored to be interested in Nicholas Jackson as a replacement for Isak. These are all rumors going around in the transfer market, and we'll be looking to exploit some of these stories. There's also Xavi Simons to Chelsea. That's another trending story. There's Bradley Barcola to Liverpool. So we'll be looking at Liverpool and looking at how much they spent in the transfer window. Are they also assembling their own so-called Galacticos? How they are going to, bond together as a team in the coming season. Remember, there's the Community Shield against Crystal Palace over the weekend, so we'll get to see Newcastle United, Liverpool rather, in the Community Shield over the weekend firsthand. We were talking about Real Madrid as well. Xabi Alonso is in, looking to kickstart the season with a bang. He has one or two signings in there. There's Trent Alexander-Arnold. There are rumors about some players leaving, the contract issues with Kylian Mbappe. We will explore how Madrid are going to look to improve from their performance last season and see whether they can dominate the La Liga, especially with the challenges that FC Barcelona are having this season. And also, we can't, have the show without talking about the Ballon d'Or. That's something that is still in progress. The nominations are still coming out, so we'll be delving into some of those conversations as to who have made the list for nominations for the Ballon d'Or as best coach, young player, the overall winner, the best goalkeeper, and all of that. So we'll be looking at a breakdown of all these nominations. Finally, we'll be looking at tech in football. There are lots of talks about football being manipulated. We are hearing about the semi-automated offside. We've heard about VAR, which is in play. There's goal line technology. Is football becoming too robotic? We are going to get into all those conversations. Pack show for you today on Sports 101. As I said earlier on, you should like, comment, share, subscribe. We are on TikTok, we are on Facebook, Instagram, and of course YouTube. And so that's it for us, and we can get into the conversation. The guys are here. Percy is here. Kofi is here. Hello, guys.
Hi.
Yeah.
It was a very long intro.
Yeah.
We had to let our listeners know exactly what we'll be discussing today, so that you stick and stay with us, and then you like, and then subscribe and share our videos. But you've heard about all the topics we are discussing. Let's start with the Ballon d'Or.
Okay.
France Football have released a list. That list is still
they do it in batches.
Yes. They are still releasing the list in batches, and we are still waiting to see the final one everybody's interested in, and those that are making the cut for the Ballon d'Or. We heard about Scott McTominay making the list. Some people are surprised about McTominay being in that list. I don't know why people are surprised.
There is this thing about Ballon d'Or that I always told myself that the next time that I get the chance to talk about it, I would want to elaborate a bit on it so that people would get to know a little bit of its background and how the discrepancies and a whole lot of things that have. Now, I have never rated the Ballon d'Or over FIFA Best Player of the Year. And when I say that, this might spark some controversies, but just wait for me to just break it down for you. Of course, that is the first biggest worldwide individual accolade that could be given to a player from 1956 after the first Champions League. So from 56 all the way to 1995, the criteria was simple and very, very straightforward. An European player playing in Europe, and the criteria was talent. I'm just mentioning it to you so that you'll be able to get it over here. So it was just talent, fair play, and the player's overall career within the year and individual performance over the year. So that was how it was. And the panel was strictly for UEFA journalists. It generally started with France Football. So they were journalists who were accredited by UEFA, so they could vote. And that was where Stanley Matthews won the first one for Blackpool. From there, it went on and on. So with this criteria, it meant players like Pele, players like Didi, players like Garrincha, players like Maradona, players like Mario Kempes, they couldn't win because they were not playing in Europe. And even when Maradona got a chance to play in Europe, he couldn't win because he wasn't an European player. So it is European players playing in Europe. That was it. Then in 1994, after that, they came to a consensus that let's try to review it, because we realized that there are players who are not European players, because someone like Romario had done extremely well in the World Cup. Yes, so Romario has done well in 1994 World Cup. And you couldn't, he was just eliminated, and they could only give it to someone like Roberto Baggio. And if you look at what Romario had actually done, but he wasn't, so they had to change it. They maintained that still the UEFA journalists will vote. But this time round, we give the chance to players who are not European players, but they play in Europe. That is what gave the chance for Giorgio Ponvio to win. Then subsequently, Nazaro de Lima won. He was also able to win. Then it gave the chance to a whole lot of players to win over and over. So this one also continued. Then by 2005, they realized, no, it can't also be only players who are playing in Europe. So let's give the chance to players who are playing all over the world. So it meant that now it is not just a player who is playing in Europe, but players who are also playing all over the world. And this time around, the voting was not only restricted to the UEFA, but it is European journalists. The first one was UEFA journalists. This is European journalists. So you might be a journalist who is an European, but you are not accredited by UEFA. So that one is what gave the chance for someone like Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho won it. You also had players who were outside, who were not part of Europe, but they were nominated. So that also continued for only 2 years, 2005 to 2007. Then from 2007 all the way to 2010, that was when now they were able to open it up, and they had journalists all over the world to vote. This continued for 3 years until 2010, when FIFA decided that, oh, there are years that people win and they are not necessarily, they also end up winning the world best. And that is what it was actually. 2007, Kaka won Ballon d'Or, he won world best player. 2008, Ronaldo won Ballon d'Or, world best player. Messi, Ballon d'Or, world best player. So then why don't, and Messi also won it, Ballon d'Or, world best for 2010. So why don't we then merge it? And the merger was what sparked the controversy. Now it wasn't just the journalists who were voting. Now it was every country had one person to vote. That was when we had Michael Otieje voting for us. Then now they brought in captains. Now they brought in national team coaches and fans. So that was between 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15. During that time, Messi won it 3 times. Then Ronaldo won it 2 times. So Ronaldo won it 13 and 14, and Messi won it 11, 12, and 15. And after the 15, they realized no, the whole controversy thing is still sparking. So the two of them split. So that was where the attention on, okay, I'll come to that. Then when they split, then FIFA went back to the best men's player and the best female player. That was when it started from 16. Ronaldo winning the first 2, that's 16 and 17. Then they kept their Ballon d'Or, but France Football now took it back. Still, they maintained that in that stead, you will still have the national team coaches voting and the fans and the rest. So that was where the fan influence, the brand influence, and at that time to the criteria, they started adding things like fair play, discipline. Discipline was never in it when I started. Now there was discipline, there was skill, there was a total achievement in the year, decisive moments were also all brought on board. Now when all of these things was brought on board, now the whole thing changed. So from the 15 all the way to the 2022, that time too, it was still the European thing. It had then come back to the France football, although it had come to France football, but then it was still, they still had that factor of when they were like with FIFA. So when this whole thing happened and until 2022, then they decided to go back to how it was. But this time around, they were not making it like the whole year. They made it calendar of the season. So 15 to 2022, that one was from January to December. Yeah. But from 2022 going, they made it August to June. So anything you do after June doesn't matter. But still, it was open for the whole European. So this is just a summary of how Ballon d'Or has gone over the years. So we have Messi winning most of them, 8, Ronaldo 5, and the rest continue. Now, like I said, I never rate it above FIFA best player. Because first of all, if you use Ballon d'Or rating to say that this player is the greatest, what I mentioned some few names, someone like Kempes, someone like Pele. Imagine Pele during his 60s and 70s. How many Ballon d'Ors would he have won? Maradona, the times that he could have won with Napoli and also with Argentina, that he had never had a chance. So 1919, when the FIFA best player was established, that was when it was eligible for everyone. But should I say, fortunately, unfortunately, someone like Maradona was almost past his prime. Yes, and that was mostly also made such that if it is a year that is a World Cup year, 1994, 98, 2002, obviously the person who wins the World Cup, the best player of the team wins it. A few discrepancies can be made for 2014 for Messi, 2018 for someone like Modric winning, and a few of the years. So almost every year. So from 1990, Lothar Matthäus winning, and 1994, like I said, obviously the best player would have been Roberto Baggio. But then it was Romario who won the World Cup. So Romario won. 1998, no player was better than Nazario de Lima. He had won in 97, but 98, because of the exploit of Zidane, especially in the final, Zidane won. 2002, there was a player like Mario Jardel. He was the, the European Golden Boot winner. 2002 itself was the year that Real Madrid won the Champions League. Zidane was arguably the best player in the world, but Ronaldo Nazario de Lima came in, 8 goals. He won the Ballon d'Or with just about a few matches. 2006, the best player in the world was Ronaldinho, no doubt. Barca had won the Champions League, but Cannavaro, because of his exploit, won it. 2010 was where we had the discrepancy. Obviously, the best player for the whole World Cup, it was between Iniesta and Schneider. Okay. But then, that was where the first discrepancy came. Messi was given. 2014, the one who won the Champions League was Real Madrid. Ronaldo won. And Germany won the World Cup. Top 2 best players, Müller and Neuer. But another discrepancy. So you see where it has started from. 2010. That was when the whole thing. 2018 again, a World Cup year. And the World Cup year, who won the World Cup? It was France. France, you could talk of Mbappe, you could talk of Griezmann. But then, it was Modric. Champions League won. And even he wasn't the best player in his team. 2022, yes, then we went back to the person who wins the World Cup, which was Messi. That same year, who won the Champions League 2022? It was Real Madrid. Benzema had won the Ballon d'Or, but because of Messi's exploit. So, they brought their own rules over the years. And yet, there are sometimes that exceptions and discrepancies are made. You see that when it started from 56 all the way to 2000, you can even include up to 2005, the criteria were talent, impact in the team, skill, and it was just in the beginning that there was fair play. There was nothing like fan voting, and that one you could hardly take away the fact that this person won it, and you could talk about, because it was actually UEFA journalists who had an eye for the game. So if a year, for instance, and they take some like a Jean-Pierre Papin as the Ballon d'Or winner, you know that this guy deserves it. With Olympic mass, you know that this guy deserves it. There were sometimes that Omar Sivori of Juventus will win it. You know that it is not a matter of the name. And during the time of Omar Sivori, there were players who were playing. There were times that you would have a defender like Franz Beckenbauer winning it 2 times. You will know that this player had won it. But then from the era of the whole thing changing, and we brought in the fan, and with the fan, a player like Omar Sivori might not win this time because he will not have the clout during the time, because that time you would have someone like Michel Platini, you have someone like Johan Cruyff and the rest. And that is what we are facing this time around. That element of having the technical eye, taking away sentiment and taking away fan base. And it was funny that with the years and the voting, national team cups, there were some teams for over the years, they know as long as you nominate someone Cristiano Ronaldo, the country's captain will vote for them. A country like India, there is no way they will not vote for someone like Messi. Some countries, this is what they are. As long as they see Messi on the bill, they will vote for him. There were some fan base. I have voted for Ballon d'Or before. I remember, is it 2017 or 2018? I went there. I didn't even check what was happening. I just voted for whoever I wanted to vote for. So for me, this year, the McTominay you are talking about, obviously, I see him to be there because he was a reject at United. He came in, he went to Napoli, and when he went to Napoli, he scored about 8 decisive goals in the Napoli setup. He made Napoli win the league 2 years after they won it, and he also scored that deciding goal, the last goal that actually won them the title. So for me, he deserves to be there, but unfortunately, if you check the names that have been mentioned around, someone like Lamine Yamal, I still sit down and I can't fathom how this guy has ended up even in top 5 or even top 10. Because if you tell me first 5 should have about 4 PSG players and nobody mentions them, Vitinha should be there, Dembele should be there, João Neves should be there, Nuno Mendes should be there, Desiree Doué even deserves to be there, and Donnarumma deserves to be there. These are the 5. You take even the Barca team, I don't see Lamine Yamal himself to be even the best player. Their best player arguably had been Rafinha, but then of course they want to project somebody. So Rafinha, Pedri and himself. Then you can talk of the other players, someone like Mbappe for what he's done. although he didn't win the league, he came in and first he's won best player in the La Liga. So the very player that you are competing against in the league is a better player than you based on best player. But then we throw out all of these names because of the inconsistencies we brought. So for me, Ballon d'Or, I have never rated it, and I would never use it as a yardstick to say a player is better than the other. I think Kofi probably would have. I don't know if he will support what I'm saying or would have another opinion to what I'm saying.
I don't know, but probably maybe Kofi can take it from a different angle, because there are those that think that the history and then the premise that Percy has given us. I think it's more like a popularity contest now, because as you said, people vote for who they like. When you have fans voting, when you have national team coaches and journalists and team captains voting, people will vote for who they like, and it's not necessarily about what the player has done in the season under review. And so when you have an award scheme being manipulated, and then people don't even follow the criteria, that's the reason why for somebody like me, I would not rate the Ballon d'Or as very credible. I think that voted for awards are always influenced by sentiment.
Well, I should think that per your last statement, that voted for awards are influenced by a lot of sentiment. I think that I will very much align with that school of thought. And for me, just like Percy has carefully elaborated, the purity of the award has been stained over the years. I mean, it's not pure in the correct sense of the word, because you look at players who have won the awards for various years under certain circumstances, and legitimate questions have been raised. You realize that oftentimes the answers that have been given to support why it is that those players were chosen have been a bit too anemic. And for me, I honestly think that for football lovers and for people who love football, we watch football with different eye views. We watch football from different standpoints. You understand? There's something that somebody looks out for, you probably might not look out for. And so there's a reason why sometimes you would want to take away that fan base element. You understand? Because when you walk into a certain arena, you tell people to tell you who a talented player is. There are going to be a plethora of answers. I mean, everybody has their own criteria. So like Percy was trying to suggest, I think that over the years, one of the things that we have not failed to do right regards this particular award has to be setting down a clear-cut criteria.
Yeah.
People have spoken about various criteria that have been issued across the years, but I do not think that retrospectively we can all hit our chest and say that, oh, okay, these are the things that we followed. These were the lines that we followed. These were the strict lines that we played out from the playbook. And those were the reasons why we gave certain players certain awards. I think that, like I said previously, the purity of the awards have been a bit too waned, and I do not think that it carries a lot more weight like it would in yesteryear. I look at some of the names that have won the Ballon d'Or in recent times, in the past. You look at the names and then you want to read about their achievements. You want to read about their influence in their teams. You want to read about their influence in their era. And then you would want to juxtapose it with the names that have been circulated around recent Ballon d'Or winners. I mean, sometimes it's pretty much shocking. I mean, so for me, somebody deserves to be awarded, somebody deserves to be nominated. I do not think that, my candid opinion is that we do not put a lot of thought into who wins the Ballon d'Or these days. I think that we do not really put a lot of thought into who wins the Ballon d'Or. It's become, and I agree with your closing remarks, it's become more like a popularity contest. It's because of who I know. And football has that recall value. And so people oftentimes remember you with your very best showing, with your last showing. Reason why, even when Messi was not doing so well, just because it is Messi, just because of the things that he's done, that recall value, it gave people to align with him a lot of times. And for me, that's not always bear the full details of who it is that should win the Ballon d'Or.
Well, for the Ballon d'Or, France Football have released the list. That's what I was just looking at. They've been releasing it
In batches,
one at a time,
yeah.
yes. And there's the women's Copa Trophy.
Yeah.
That's the young player, best young player, the women's division. And unsurprisingly, there's Michelle Ajiman there.
Yeah.
We saw her at the Euros. There's Linda Caicedo there as well. I think she's Colombian. There's a Vic Captain. She's a Dutch. There's Vicky Lopez, who is Spanish. There's also Claudia Martinez Ovando. She's Paraguayan. And for the men, the young players, there's Ayub Boadidi. There's Paul Kubasi. There's Desiree Doué. There's Esteval, who, by the way, has joined
Chelsea.
Yes, he's joined the Chelsea in their training camp. There's Dean Houghton. There's also Miles Lewis Kelly. There's Rodrigo Mora. There's João Neves. There's Lamine Yamal. And then there's Kenan Yildiz. And so Percy mentioned Desiree Doué early on. He mentioned Lamine Yamal. He mentioned João Neves. These guys have been mentioned in the Copa.
Well, not too surprising. I mean, we also must pay attention to the fact that Yamal holds the title currently, and he's been nominated again, probably because of his age. I mean, people forget that he's still a young man. He just turned 18, right? Yeah, he's still 18 years old. Virtually has the world at his feet. But I am not too surprised some of the names that we have on the Copa Young Players list. I mean, all of the guys. Skelly had a breakout season with Arsenal, albeit, you know, Arsenal, they do not always get to do, but I mean, you watch Skelly and his performances, not just for Arsenal, but for the English national team proper. You realize that he had a breakout season. Not too surprised about Doué. Everybody thought that we probably the going out of Mbappe to Real Madrid, and subsequently Luis Enrique deciding on a different approach as to who it was, the personnel to deploy at PSG. A lot of people did not give this young guy the chance to make it out there, but he's taking his chance very well. Doué has come in. He's been able to usurp somebody like Bacola from the PSG starting 11, and I think that he's done a fantastic job being it there. There's João Neves. I mean, we cannot talk about PSG and forget their fantastic midfield trial, together with that Spanish boy, and then yes, Fabian Ruiz together with Vitinha. They
need like six.
Yeah, they formed what arguably one of the best trials the world has seen in the recent past, and then so he deserves to be there. There's Yamal himself, and then there's that young boy who played for Bournemouth that's moved on to Real Madrid.
Dean Houghton.
Fantastic player. You know, earlier on, Percy talked about Beckenbauer. He so much reminds me of Beckenbauer. You know, rarely do you find young players who are technically gifted, especially with defenders. And I'll put Kubasi on that list also. You would find young players who are defended not too comfortable with the ball, especially when they are playing for high profile teams. I mean, in times of old, we used to call them liberos. You understand? I mean, you look at Dean Houghton, typical libero. He can be the anchor between the defense and the midfield, and then the attack. I mean, very good with the ball at his feet, same as Kubasi. I think these are young boys who have matured before their age, and I am hoping to see how they progress with the latter years of their career.
Who would you have in your top three for
the Copa Award?
Yes.
Well, Yamal should be there. I mean, he's not the best player in the world. He's not the best player at Barcelona, but for his age, and the confidence and the skill he plays with. I think that Yamal deserves to be there. I would go in for the Yao Neves also to be there, and probably I'll go for Dway.
It's the same for me.
Yeah.
It's the same for me. So Dway, Kamal, and Nuno Mendes, he's not there. Okay, he's old. He's older. So there's a Dway, in no particular order, Yamal and João Neves.
I think I'll agree with those three. And so quickly moving on, the Women's Yashin Trophy nominees, and that's for the best goalkeeper when it comes to the women's division. And there's Anne-Catherine Berger. She's there. There's also Katako. There's Hannah Hampton. We saw Hannah Hampton at the Euros. There's Chiamaka Nnadozie. She's also, we saw her for the Super Falcons of Nigeria. And then there's also Daphne Van Domsela. She's also in there. Some of these names are household names. Where we are from, we know Chiamaka Nnadozie for the Super Falcons. I think she's a top goalkeeper. We know Hannah Hampton as well. We know Anne-Catherine Berger as well. We've seen these ladies play in top divisions in Europe in women's football. We've seen them at the continental level as well. In my personal opinion, I would rate Hannah Hampton.
It's a no-brainer. English national team,
exactly,
of course, because with her, without her exploits, especially in the final penalty kick, it would have been disastrous for the English national team.
And you know,
even before the final.
And I just want to point the highs for her, because if you watch her, she's, I would say, arguably the best player in the English national team. Of course, Lucy Bronze is now old. She would have been. Lucy Bronze is now old, and what's the name of this guy's sister?
The James. Chelsea captain.
Yeah,
Lauren James.
Yeah, we were expecting her to actually be the main person of the team, but I would say unfortunately. So for me, she hands down, she should win the Yashin for.
Well, maybe when the criteria for the women's.
Obviously these people they can. Yes, but
for Hannah Hampton, I think she walked into the team at a difficult time, especially when Mary Ebbs had vacated her position as number one. There were issues concerning her early retirement together with White in the English national team, and so filling the shoes of a top goalkeeper like
top players,
it was a lot of pressure going into that competition, and she's one of the people that I think that has really earned her respect. In my opinion, I think that it's a no-brainer for me. As said,
I agree with that school of thought.
Yes. And so moving on, there's also that of the men's Yashin Trophy nominees. There's Alison Becker, there's Yassine Bono, who I think is a brilliant goalkeeper. There's Lucas Cavalier, there's Thibaut Courtois, there's Gianluigi Donnarumma, Emiliano Martinez is there again. There's Jan Oblak, there's David Raya, there's Matt Sells, and Jan Sommer. I think.
This one I have questions.
No,
some people.
No, back to the conversation we were having earlier, the recall value.
Yeah.
What is Martinez doing?
What is he doing there? Even the years that he's won.
What is Thibaut Courtois?
No, what did he do for the
year under review? Argentina.
What did he do for the
last? Copa America.
Which Copa America? It is this Copa America thing that Kofi was saying, that in 6 years you play 5. That is what has been bringing all of these issues, because a tournament played by 10 countries, that you always have to invite 2 people to join. That is what you do. Then let's give an example like last year. Last 2 years last year was when Messi won it. Copa America that Argentina won. That 2023, if you look at even Onana and what he did for the international team, and before we realize, so Emiliano Martinez has won it 2 times, which doesn't really make sense. And for me, like Kofi was saying, I don't really know what he's even doing there.
Together with Thibaut Courtois?
With Thibaut Courtois, I think it's the same. It's just the names that we are just throwing in. We are just throwing in the names.
So who should be there that is in there? Raya was good for us now last season.
Oh, come on.
So is it a case of these guys don't deserve to be there because
in the case of
other goalkeepers that
they
deserve to be
just want
Or just
to
to make the
fail,
list.
just to make the list.
So they are not. It's not a case of there are other goalkeepers that deserve to be.
No, see, like I was saying, like Kofi was saying, those times. Let's take a year like let's say 2015. Look at the goalkeepers. There was Jan Oblak, there was David De Gea, there was Courtois himself, there was Buffon. These four, and even as at then, Casillas was still with what do you call it, Real Madrid. And apart from that, you could even talk about other goalkeepers. And these 5 goalkeepers, when you put them, you throw, and those were the years that you know that when you throw these keepers in, and it's not even necessarily about the fact that this keeper led his team to win maybe a Champions League or a league, but with their exploits. 2017, Buffon did not win the Champions League, but he won the best goalkeeper. That's with Juventus. Because with his exploit, you know that this is a goalkeeper. Now take away Donnarumma from this list. Tell me the achievement of any of these goalkeepers.
Alisson won the league.
Alisson was practically out of the league for about 10 or 15 matches. You remember he got injured.
Alisson was not the best goalkeeper.
Best goalkeeper in the
I mean, I think
Raya the best goalkeeper in the league?
Well, I think between Raya and Cells.
Yes.
That it might
Because
the opinion.
Raya really did well. Not that he's the best goalkeeper, but like I was saying, he did not even play majority of the matches.
That's Alisson.
Yes, he didn't play majority of the match. So why do you throw him? Is it because Liverpool has won the league? So take away Donnarumma. The rest, I don't think they deserve to be there. But like you say,
Jan Sommer was brilliant for Inter Milan.
you see, Jan Sommer was even there.
He was.
Jan Sommer was there.
Yeah.
Jan Sommer did pretty well, especially versus Barcelona, second leg.
Yes.
He was phenomenal. Is he there?
He's in the list. He's
Yes. So you take away Jan Sommer, you take away Donnarumma. Who else?
Well,
Yasin Bono.
Yasin Bono, it was just this Club World Cup until
Yasin
then.
Bono has always been the top goalkeeper.
No,
But
you
just
see,
maybe because he plays at Al Hilal,
of course,
we don't get to see
if
him
we
all the
were
time.
talking about players and their exploits everywhere, then Saudi League, you will throw in Cristiano Ronaldo when the list comes. If he comes and he's not there because he scored over 30 goals to win his golden boots, but hey, he's playing the Saudi League, so you put him somewhere. So if you are doing it in that way, like I said, there are no top goalkeepers, so you still have to throw in Yasin Bono. Of course, if he walks into Europe, apart from Donnarumma for now, and maybe a Jan Oblak or Courtois, this guy can be a top 5 goalkeeper. But for now, he has to go for the money. So.
even with Jan Oblak and Thibaut Courtois, I think they are on the
Downward spiral.
Downward spiral. I mean, Jan Oblak is not the goalkeeper he used to be
Of
3
course.
seasons ago. Same as Courtois. I mean,
But at least he's better than Emiliano Martinez. So the two of them.
my
The two
candid
of them.
opinion, I have never rated Martinez.
He's not a goalkeeper.
No, I you know, there are some personalities who align so well with a particular team.
Yes,
I
and at a
it's one of
particular
them.
era.
Yes, I think
Because
it's
if
one
he
of
was
those
that
keepers.
good and he made himself available,
yeah,
no team has come for him, and it's crazy.
I think he's one of those personalities for Argentina in this era.
Like Valdez for Barca.
Yes, maybe. You understand? But I have never rated his goalkeeping
So
abilities.
you wouldn't even put him up.
Well, I think I have rated him. I think he's a very good.
No. For me, I seriously don't even like him as a goalkeeper. I don't know.
Save his antics. I think.
Apart from he being a good with penalty kicks, if you look at the mistakes this guy makes for Aston Villa, it's crazy. And if he was that good, he made himself available to be bought. And United even needs a goalkeeper, but I've not even seen United or heard them even throwing a bit. They prefer sticking with Onana. That should tell you how serious that is.
United actually in for a goalkeeper. You never know.
Yes.
United might go in for Emiliano Martinez.
But he's come back to training. He wanted to make himself available, but no one came for him. So I think.
But moving on, there's the nominees for the women's coach, and then we'll just run by that. Sonia Bompasta is there, Arthur Elias is there, Justine Madugu is there, Renee Sleges is there, Serena Wigman is also there. She won the Euros with the English national team. Justine Madugu also won.
Wigman all the way,
WAFCON.
and for me, I would say Wigman is the shams of females. Maybe when I say people don't understand, you see. The Shams, Didier Deschamps, I would say, when we are talking about best coaches ever, top 5, I don't know why people don't even add him. You know, this guy is as unlucky gets. As lucky as he is very unlucky. Monaco 2004, he went to Champions League final and he lost. He used Bordeaux to win the league for the French league. After that, he took the the French team to play second in the Euros 2016. He comes in to win the World Cup in 2020. Then he goes back to the World Cup back-to-back final. The last time we had a back-to-back final was 74-78. That was the Netherlands, the Dutch team. Argentina, 86-90. Then apart from that, you can't really, and you also have the Brazilian national team of 94-98. And he also did that. And as good as he is, there are times that if he had won the Euros, imagine he winning. So it means 3 consecutive. If he had won the Euros in 16, won the World Cup 18, and also won the World Cup 22, imagine where he would be. And he has also won the UEFA Nations League. So he would have won practically everything a coach should win. So for me, this woman, he lost the World Cup. He's won the Euros with the Dutch team. He's won it with the English team. He's gone to the World Cup, that's the women's Euros final. Yeah. So he's arguably one of the best coaches the women's team has ever gotten. And for this time, I don't think there is a challenger.
Okay, I tend to agree with that. I think Serena Wigman winning 3 Euros on the bounce, 1 with the Netherlands and then 2 with England.
That's crazy.
Just maybe the Moroccan coach, his name escaped me. Just maybe if he had won the final of the WAFCON against Nigeria, he might be there because he led Spain to the World Cup.
Yeah.
And he won the World Cup with Spain.
Yeah.
And it's something that the Moroccans are doing that is, I'm diverting a bit, but we are not really paying attention to when it comes to Moroccan football.
Yeah.
Heavily investing, bringing in a World Cup winning coach to coach their women's national team. They have been to back-to-back finals. We've seen their men's national team.
The men's national team. The coach actually won the CAF Champions League.
Exactly.
And he went to the World Cup, beating Portugal and going to the semi-final. So for them, they are not just breeding players, they are breeding facilities.
Even their juvenile team and even the Chan team.
The Chan team, facilities and coaches.
Yeah.
And it's all up down to their king, Mohammed. He is actually spearheading everything. So it's like a national project, not just to breed the players, but also to breed the coaches. And it will go a long way too. So now for Africa, they've taken it. Morocco has taken it.
Well, guys, this is Sports 101, and we are talking about the Ballon d'Or. We spent quite some time on the Ballon d'Or. Let's know what you think about what we've discussed so far, the nominations in the different categories. Let's know in the comment section what you think. So kindly subscribe, share the videos, like, and then share your opinions. We're moving on, and this is an interesting one. The nominees for the Men's Coach of the Year. I'll start with Kofi here. I have my own opinion, but there are 5 of them. There's Antonio Conte, there's Luis Enrique, there's Arne Slot, there's Enzo Maresca, as well as Hansi Flick. Are these the best 5 coaches in the world at the moment?
Best 5 coaches.
Antonio Conte, Luis Enrique, Arne Slot, Enzo Maresca, and Hansi Flick.
Well, I don't rate Anslot.
Why? The gentleman just won the league.
I do not rate Maresca.
I would have taken Maresca number 1. I don't know why Maresca is there.
I don't rate Maresca.
Maresca is
I don't
out.
rate Maresca. No, Maresca is not a good coach.
Please.
Please.
Two major problems.
Please. Don't even bring the Conference League to it, please. Don't bring it.
You are going to incur the wrath of the Chelsea fans. The gentleman has won the Conference League and is currently the best coach in the world.
Even the Chelsea faithfuls will not rate him. I'm not the one supposed to say I would.
Maresca.
But Chelsea fans, let's know what you think in the comment section.
No. I do not rate Maresca. I have my own crazy sentiments, but the point is simple. I think that he's a lucky coach. I mean, cast in the mode of Roberto Martinez. The fact that he wins a highly glorified preseason friendly tournament The Club World Cup,
friendly tournament.
Or some of the teams did not take it serious. Madrid did not take it serious.
The fact that he wins it and Chelsea carry around that tag of being the best team in the world for the next 4 years, that's fine.
They beat arguably the best team in the world.
For educational purposes. Yeah, for educational purposes. Finals are one-offs.
Yes, of
a lot of things could happen. And that final, we all agree.
And the channel with when they win.
Yeah, a lot of things happened. So, Maresca, I do not soul. And Slots, I do not rate. I've told people personally that you will see the real Ancelotti this season. When the league begins, we'll know whether he is one who is made for the long haul or he was Matrai Makwe. for now, I see Ancelotti as Matrai Makwe. You understand? Yes, he won the league with Liverpool last season because everybody else was killing themselves when Liverpool was the most consistent. So those two I'll take out of the list. Flick, very good coach. He does not need to prove himself to anybody. I've always said time without number that one of the smart decisions Barcelona made was to employ
Hansi Flick.
Flick, you understand? And then you have somebody like Conte in that list, having to go up against the might of Inter Milan in the Serie A. Yes, we all agree that there are not so many superpowers in the Serie A these times around. But you look at the squad and you look at the depth of the squad that he had to use that Napoli team to win the league, I think was quite commendable. And then you look at the players that he had to transform on his way to winning the league, quite commendable. Then there's Luis Enrique in the arguably. I mean, listen, I think that he's one of the most underrated coaches in the history of contemporary football. You look at Luis Enrique, a lot of people would say that his style is not really pro Barcelona. But I think that he was that guy who saw the light and then decided that, okay, I understand the principles of what it takes to be a total football coach. You understand? As in, with that total football approach. But I am also open for diversity. And so if you look at the brand of football that Luis Enrique plays, it's a brand that embraces everything that we have today. You understand? So he has control. He has directness. Unlike a Spanish coach, he has a lot of directness. If you look at PSG play, they are compact. There is defensive solidity. So for me, yes, we know that the list is out there, but to me, there's no shred of doubt that the best coach in the world today is Luis Enrique, and by a mile.
Well, you mentioned that he don't Slot doesn't deserve to be there, but the question is, and maybe I'll bring that to Percy. Who is supposed to be there that isn't there? Because if you look at these 5 coaches, I'm struggling to think of any other coach in the world that is supposed to be in this list that isn't there. For the first time, mind you, in a long time, Pep Guardiola doesn't make the list.
But he's not even supposed to be there, so you shouldn't even mention him. I'm surprised.
Teta, he was excellent in the league.
What is excellent? No.
He did well in the Champions.
Who was second in the Premier League in 1997? You won't remember because it's not something that is important. Now, this one I concur with Kofi. No long talks. Maresca, you won't rate him. Conference League, we don't talk about it. Club World Cup, it's not something. A lot of even the teams were really they didn't really have any preseason to. After that, you've not seen Madrid engage themselves in any preseason because that's all they could use. It was something that FIFA and a lot of the teams, of course, they would have been against it, save the money that they threw at them. So for me, winning that Club World Cup, we knew the channel with which they passed and all of that. You could give them the credit, but I wouldn't say because of that they are the best. Put them aside. With Ancelotti, I think I would throw more light on what Kofi was saying, that he wouldn't rate Ancelotti. Ancelotti was so lucky to enter a league when there were 2 things that were happening. 1, there was a United that was destabilized. 2, there was a Chelsea that was going through a phase. 3, there was a City that was doing rebuilding. 4, Arsenal themselves, who were not ready to really fix what could have made them win. And the next thing was that he had Klopp put the team together for him. literally for him, because before Klopp left, the original front three of Firmino, Mane, and Salah, he had been able to really replace it well. Of course, Salah was there firing all cylinders, but then he had a Diaz, there was Jota, there was Darwin Núñez, and these players were there. There was Cody Gakpo. All of these were there. There was Harvey Elliott, who could also slot in for Salah. In the midfield, he had been able to replace the original mechanical of Jordan Henderson, Wijnaldum, and Fabinho with Gravenberch, with McAllister, with Djiboujilai, as well as Curtis Jones. Then he also had a backline that had played for very long time. So he actually walked into a team that was a well-oiled machine.
But if you walk into a team that is a well-oiled machine and you are not good enough yourself, you will not be able to deliver.
I can give you instances.
Sir Alex left Man United for David Moyes after they had just won the league, and we saw what happened.
No problem. It's good you brought that case study. Now, that season that Sir Alex left, United, let me compare that with the Liverpool setup. That time that he was leaving, that is the 2012-2013, I'll give you the ages of the players and even the type of setup that they had. For the front three, or for the attackers, it was Van Persie, who was 30 years then. There was Rooney, there was Chicharito. These were the three who were up front. With the midfield, there was a Giggs who was 38. There was Antonio Valencia. There was Nani. These were the players. Then with the midfield, you also had Carrick. There was Darren Fletcher, there was Anderson, and all of these players were players who had actually were past their primes. And I always say this on set that it is so difficult to motivate a person who has reached self-actualization.
Would Ferguson have finished 6th if he had stayed the next
season? That is what makes Ferguson the greatest. The reason is that Ferguson always finds a way to motivate the player and turn over the squad for the next set of generation.
So we can say same for Slot, because if Slot had walked into Liverpool,
he didn't deliver. Slot came, and Slot, the team he came in or he entered into, the only players who were there for the achievement of club. You could talk of Alisson Becker, you could talk of Van Dijk, and you could talk of Salah. And these are not even players who are serial winners, who have been winning multiple times. They had tasted the league once. They have seen second place 3 times. They had won Champions League 1 and lost 1. You can't say same for a United team that for the past 5 years, they had won the league 4 times. What is the motivation? That is what City is facing. Imagine if, Pep Guardiola, he leaves this team for any other coach. The coach will suffer. It would be like the United situation. Because one, the players you are coming to meet have seen everything. They've seen treble. They've seen winning the league back to back. They've seen winning the league with 100 points. They've seen everything there is to see. Salah, apart from 1 league, 1 Champions League, 1 FA Cup, and 1 Carling Cup or EFL, what does he have to show? If you talk of a Van Dijk, same. Alisson Becker, McAllister has not won a league before. He has not won Champions League before. Djiboujilai has not won before. You can talk of Gravenberch. He probably was in Bayern, but he had everything to prove because he was a castaway there. If you talk of Cody Gakpo, he is not a serial winner. If you talk of Darwin Núñez from Benfica, he knows he has to win something there. So like I was saying, these are 2 different instances. United were achieved players who had everything. So the only thing that kept them winning was the Ferguson factor, who could always psych their mind that the best is not enough. That could make them win over and over and over and mind you, between 2007 to 2013, United had won the league treble once, so 5 times, as well as being second for all of those times. So they had been first 5 times, they had been second 4 times. How do you motivate this player? So when Moyes came in, what is he coming to do? The only thing he had to do was, it is not a matter of tactics. He was not supposed to change tactics. He was supposed to either be that Ferguson thing. He tries to motivate them, but he wanted to. You realize when he came the first season, it was about Van Persie and Rooney. There were even issues of captaincy and the rest. That is what made them give Rooney a 5-year, because Chelsea, Mourinho was coming for him. So he made them change the whole thing, give him captaincy after he promised him captaincy after Vidic leaves, and he also gave him a 5-year contract which ended 2017. So these are two different instances. Slot did not change anything. He met a hungry team who wanted to do something. When you take Moyes met a team that had achieved everything with aging team, and he couldn't also really add so much. The only thing, what did he add? He brought in Fellaini. So what he brought in was Fellaini. He couldn't even the players he wanted to use.
Brought in one matter.
He brought in one matter when it's about leaving. That was what do you call it? January. And after he brought him in a few months, he couldn't get Fabregas. He couldn't get Ander Herrera. He couldn't get Dele Blin. He couldn't get even Freddie Guarin. He couldn't get him. And Tony Cruz was willing to come. He said he had already finished with Tony Cruz, but before he realized he was gone. So for him, I don't think it's fair to compare the two.
And so who wins it?
Luis Enrique.
Straight up Luis Enrique.
Oh, we don't have to even.
And finally, there's the nominations for the clubs of the year.
Do I see Arsenal there?
This is the women's.
I thought.
So for
then hands down is Arsenal. They won Champions League. So
Arsenal is Barcelona.
Arsenal won it.
There's the Olympic Lyonnais and there's Orlando Pride. And for the men's division, there's Barcelona, there's Botafogo, there's Chelsea, there's Liverpool, and there's.
I knew Chelsea winning this Club World Cup would make them throw something in. But this one, just to add to the numbers, you take away PSG, the rest, I don't even know why they are there.
I agree.
Take away PSG, the rest, they
Barcelona won the treble.
No.
What treble? What you say? I don't want us to be. I don't want us to be throwing in treble like.
Isn't it treble?
Treble is one.
Yeah.
Treble is your league. Your cup and the continental, the premier continent, that is the Champions League as it is. So if
the Super Copa is not part.
No, that's not a treble.
The one they played in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
That is why Liverpool are throwing shades that they won a treble before, because they won the FA Cup, they won the Carling Cup, and it seems they won Community Shield or something. UEFA Cup, and they call it a treble. That's not a treble.
It's PSG for me.
So Paris Saint-Germain. Anyway, guys, let's know in the comment section what you think. The club of the year and all the nominations that we have talked about. Sports 101. You can find us on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube at Sports 101. So kindly subscribe, share your observations, share our videos, like the videos, and let's continue the debate in the comment section. Quickly, we'll be going into some transfer news that has been trending. Earlier on, we talked about that, and there's some interesting story that broke just a couple of days ago, about 2 days ago, just before after our previous episode. It's Benjamin Sesko. Newcastle United made a bid. Manchester United countered the bid. Now it's up to the player to make a decision as to whether or not he is moving to Newcastle United or Manchester United. The tabloids say that he favors a move to Manchester United. United fans are excited. We'll get into that conversation. There's also talk about Liverpool and some of the other signings that they will be making before the end of the transfer window. We've heard about Darwin Núñez moving to Saudi Arabia. There are some other stories that is about Liverpool. There's the Alexander Isak story. It's still making waves, as the tabloids are also saying that there is talk between Isak and Nicholas Jackson, as well as Chelsea. Whether that would have a ripple effect concerning where Alexander Isak would end up, that's another conversation. There's also Bradley Barcola being rumored to be on the radar of Liverpool. There's Xavi Simons to Chelsea. There's Carlos Baleba to Manchester United. United, we know, are in the transfer market for a striker. It looks like they are getting their man in Sesko. There's also, if possible, a midfielder and a goalkeeper. So now all attention, according to rumors making the rounds and some credible sources, it's that Carlos Baleba is on the radar of Manchester United. We know that if United gets this player, he would cost more than all the other players that United have signed so far in the transfer market. First of all, there are talks about PSR. How does it work? United have made losses in recent times. United didn't make as much money last season. They didn't participate in the Club World Cup. They are not playing Champions League football, but they are still competing against teams that are in the Champions League in the transfer window. How are they managing to do that? Where is the money coming from? Are they at risk of FFP, issues and all of that? So let's get into that conversation.
So, okay, you go.
United are not at risk of.
They have never been at risk.
Nah, never been at risk. I mean,
so far, United have spent about 200
financial engineering
on 3 players.
Financial engineering. That is where you need the people who run your operations to be smart. A lot of the things, the figures that we are seeing United sign these players for, they are not monies that have been paid upfront. You understand? So you go about in such a way that you stagger the payment so that you are able to meet the requisite requirements that you would need not to incur an FFP ban. And United have been smart in recent times. I mean, I hear they've accrued a lot of money from the resale of players, sell on clauses from players, and then there's a Jadon Sancho to Chelsea issue. There's talk about the fact that they had to move away Marcus Rashford to Barcelona, saved a staggering amount of money from in wages. You understand? So these are the ways that United have found to make a lot of money. I think that the one thing I am convinced about now is that the people who run Manchester United football-wise know their onions and they know what they are doing. You understand? I mean, if you have a chief executive who understands the intricacies of the football dealings in the modern era, I mean, the chief executive of Manchester United was one of the top dogs at City and was one of the people who was behind the brains behind the evolution of City now. So they understand the things they are doing. You spoke about in fact, truth of the matter also is that what United is doing on the markets now scares a lot of people.
Even without
because a lot of people did not see this coming, and I am reliably informed that the Baleba issue is not just one for the newspapers. There's talk that even Baleba himself, Brighton value him over 100 million euros. There's talk that Baleba himself could step in and they could look at a figure around 70 million euros, which would be ideal for Manchester United, because just before we walked into the studio, United have begun talks with Chelsea for the sale of Garnacho. So if you're able to sell Garnacho for 40 plus million pounds, then it means that you can free up some of the funds somewhere. So and then you spoke about Sesko to United. Is done. It's done. I mean, Newcastle walked into the room with a higher bid, with promise of Champions League football, with a higher financial package. But United walked in and said, listen, and the smart thing about United these days is that they seek the consent of the player. So if you do not want to play for Manchester United, they are not even going to bid. So if United bids, it's game over. If United bids, it's game over. So Sesko is done. If they are able to get Baleba, I think that this will be the best transfer window United have had since 2007. You look at the quality of the players: Benjamin Sesko, Brian Mbeumo. You look at Matthias Cunha. These are top elite footballers. These are the stuff that fairy tales are supposed to be winded about. You understand? And this is Manchester United. These are the top players who should be playing for Manchester United at Old Trafford week in, week out. And for me, I am happy with I was listening to somebody tell me that if United wants to close the gap on the top 4, you need to go in for the players these teams want. You understand? So you do not go after a player which City does not want, which Chelsea does not want, which Liverpool does not want. Go for the top end elite players who are attracted by some of these top four, then you're able to get them. You know that there's quality assured. Everybody knows the figures that Brian Mbuemo together with Matthias Cunha contributed for Brentford and Wolves respectively. Top 5 EPL goals and assists, they were in there. You cannot understate the value that Sesko brings to the United team.
And that's something that United have learned from previous errors in the transfer market. They are buying from within the league players with Premier League experience.
Yes, I mean sometimes it's good that you look at players who can hit the ground running. You understand? I mean, you know, for midfielders like Cunha, for Mbuemo, you need to have players who understand the dynamics of the league, so that even if it will take a while for the forward player, i.e. Sesko, to settle down, you have players who already by their own has given you double digits in goals and assists from previous seasons, and so it will allow room for adaptation by the forward player, so that it does not disrupt the entire program for the team in regards the targets that they do have for the season. So I think that this has been some smart buying from Manchester United. But back to the earlier question you asked, United are going about their duties very well. Smart financial engineering, staggering payments. Maybe they are taking lessons from Chelsea and their playbook. You understand? Staggering payments, getting monies from other players. And United, in the recent future past, they have not been one of the teams that have sold well.
Yeah.
You understand? So it looks like this time around there's been an improvement in that department. It's making them have a lot more money, and I think that once they are able to continue in that state, it can be up for Manchester United. Yeah.
Well, for the United fans, I'm sure we are getting some of your questions answered. I'll just add a little to it. I think that before Percy comes in, United are doing something really good. When you look at the dynamics of how these transfers are being conducted, the fact that they have Anthony on the transfer market, there's Garnacho there's Rashford, whose wage bills have been, taken off United.
There is Sancho.
Even with Barcelona in the picture, it's lifted some weight off United's wage bill. There's Jadon Sancho, there's Tara Malacia. These guys are guys that by the end of the transfer window, United are assured of getting some sort of revenue from whether a loan deal or permanent moves from these players. And also, the Cunha deal is a deal that has been added or closed with last season's financial books. So because of the timing of that transfer, it doesn't apply to this season. So United have already balanced their books for last season, including that Matheus Cunha deal. So it doesn't apply now. And so when you talk about staggering payments, you bring in Mbuemo if the Sesko deal is completed, if you're bringing in Baleba, these are deals that will be sorted out in about 2, 3, 4 installments. So it allows the club to find a way to balance their books. And so when we hear of these huge figures, you might think that where are they getting the monies from? But I think that United is doing something really well in terms of their financial management.
Oh yes, they are. You see, last year, 2022-2023 season, not the season before, they made a loss of about 60 million pounds. But as at the third quarter of this year, they had broken even to 0.7 million pounds. And of course, because of the lack of Champions League, they would lose like 80 million pounds. But then it would have affected them if they were going to the Champions League and they were losing. But the FFP would allow you some leeway if you have not been consistently been going, because United goes this year, next year they might not go, the next year they go. So that is going. So if you read their financial statement, they have implemented things that is saving them costs. So it has really saved costs, and their operating loss is drastically reduced. It does not really affect them. So as at this fiscal year, they are actually projecting to have a revenue of around 660 million to 670 million pounds. That is a team that is not going to Champions League, and that is how much they are expecting to. So they are trying to bridge the gap of the 80 million pounds they are not going to get in Champions League.
Yeah.
And how many teams would be able to do that? So with that, there are a few things that they could do, and they've already started. Like you said, it is the revenues of these players, that is the pays you give them, the wages. Rashford was taking over 300,000, Sancho's over 300,000, and allowing the year to go. They used the years because as they released him, they were able to allow him to his wages to balance their books. Again, if they are also able to let Malacia go, Anthony too was taking over 200,000. So if you have 300,000, 200,000, that one alone is roughly 800,000 pounds a week of your multiply this by a year, and this is actually really going to bring a lot of things down. And the Cunha and the Mbuemo and the Sesko that they are signing, they are not giving them the big wages that they used to give, like a 300,000. No. So the wages is one thing, and now to United is also looking at you see they've brought in so many things that is, apart from that, they want to put Old Trafford in a good shape, because the Ineos had issues with how Old Trafford is and all that. So now of course these are funny things like Jesse and the maze that they usually change. They are trying to put things in place that would not make them spend so much. They realized that there were so many expenses that were there that really did not make sense. And like Kofi said, there is no way that a team like United would go for a player and want to pay 70 million and would not be able to put this in place. For whichever player that complains about United, there is one thing that they say, that they are very good at business. Ibrahimovic has said it, that United runs it like a business. Ibrahimovic has said it, Ralf Rangnick has said it, Van Gaal has said it. So if it has to do with finances, they employ their best brains. They are still raking in the highest amount with respect to shirt sales, and we also with respect to the shirt deals. They are getting the highest revenue from that, and also stadium attendance. United has the biggest stadium in England, and with that they would also earn the best. And if it has to do with the fans too, and also with the viewership, it is also giving United the leeway. So with respect to they doing things to price in the players and whatever, the name Manchester United, it doesn't matter the fact that they are playing Champions League or not playing Champions League.
But the fact that they are not playing Champions League is also costing United money.
Yes, like I said, 80 million, of course. But to price in players, a team like Real Madrid does not need to win something or play Champions League to price. In England, you might say all you want. There is no bigger team than Manchester United. Liverpool, of course, they have won more trophies, but with respect to commercial wise, with fans and everything, Liverpool is second to Manchester United. And it is not a matter of, as at the moment, of course, they are the best team, no problem. But with respect to the biggest club in terms of revenue, in terms of commercial wise, excuse me, in terms of fans, they are no more attractive than United. Maybe for now, players may look at the fact that when they go, they will win trophies and all of that, blah, blah, blah. But then, if a player wants to go, you put Liverpool here, you put Manchester United here, and everything is all equal. There is no player that will decide, or if you take percentage of the players, majority of them will prefer Manchester United, because Manchester United will project you more than Liverpool. And that is a fact. It is not, I'm not talking about football. If whoever is listening, I'm not talking about football. I'm talking about with respect to a team that when you play for would project you. If you take a player like Tyrell Malacia and you take a player like I want to take a Liverpool player who is not really well known.
Kekes. They play in the same position.
Who?
Kekes.
Yes. You could probably throw it to them. How many people even know this? I don't even know him. And how many people even know Tyrell Malacia? So for me, United will still price the player, and I like the way they are doing their deals. One, low wages. Two, they look for the exact position and what they need, who is needed at that particular position. And with this player they are going for, this Brighton player they are going for, it looks like, oh, it's a one-off thing. Like Kofi said, this is one of the best transfers that United has made. 07, when they were bringing in Vidic, nobody knew him. Nobody knew who Vidic was.
Vidic and Evra.
Evra.
In the same
Yes,
window. Yeah.
Vidic from Evra from Monaco. Nobody knew him. They brought him
from
in,
Serbia.
and he was just one of. And it was that season. After that season, they brought in Owen Hargreaves. Of course, he was playing in Bayern, but a lot of people didn't know them. Bringing them, they brought in Nani 207. Nobody knew Nani. Anderson. Nobody knew Anderson. But that 07-08 was arguably, if you take the 98-99, that was arguably United's best season ever. And all of these players were starters, were mainstays. So, of course, this is an era that we all buy players that would want to, or they are already there. And they come in and they are able to push. And I think, like you said, bringing in players who are already playing in the league is also one thing that would help, because United has brought in a lot of, in quotes, A-list players who are not playing the league, and they were not able to really give it their best because they were playing out and they came in, like Di Maria, like Memphis Depay. All of these players were brought in and they were very good players, but the style of the Premiership could not help Di Maria. The same thing could not also help someone like Depay. But Cunha still playing. Mbuemo, Sesko. Now United just needs a number 9, and they bring him in, and he has these supporting cast with Bruno behind you. I think we are good to go.
But still on Liverpool, how does it work when it comes to the transfers that they have made so far this season? That Alexander Isak story is not going away. They brought in Hugo Ekitike, but it looks like Liverpool are still pushing to bring in another forward, if not 2, because now Nunes is gone, Diaz is gone,
Jota may he so rest. It's
exactly.
Not so 3.
If you have just a front line of a few players, yes, we've heard that they are promoting Rio into the first team. He's had a good preseason. I think he's a very good player. But you look at the front line of Liverpool, it looks like they still want to bring in Alexander Isak.
They want to.
Again, let's look at it from the financial aspect. We've diagnosed United financially.
Yeah.
Let's look at Liverpool. This is arguably the biggest transfer
for Liverpool.
Yes,
now Liverpool will not be affected financially. First of all, they've amortized all of the sales. They are not going to pay all of them at a go. None of them. Apart from that, Liverpool has been able to win the league, and that would give them some revenue. So that one is there. And I've also talked about, and apart from that too, some players are going, and it's not as if they are not going to be sold. Diaz is bringing in almost 70 million. That is some money. And Darwin Núñez also going will also give them some money. And that is also very good for them. So you bring in this in. And over the past few seasons, Liverpool has not really been buying. Last season, whom did they buy? Szoboszlai came in last 2 seasons. Two seasons ago. So last season, Liverpool didn't really spend. Liverpool did not really spend. So they have the money for last season available. And this season, winning the league too. And with the players too that they've bought, or the players who are going out, would also bring it in. And like I said, they might say that Ekitike was bought for 90 million, but they can amortize it for about 5 years.
Yes, Florian Wirtz as well.
So Florian Wirtz, the 100 million is 5 years. So they just paid 20 million this season. So in their books, it's 20 million. The same way for Ekitike. They will pay like 15 million this season. If they bring in, Isak. It is Isak that the Newcastle is saying that whatever you say, we would need about 90 to 100 million at a go. But I'm sure even with that, they will try to amortize it maybe about 20 million. So in all, with all of these big names you are talking about, they might pay just 60 million this season. In their books, that's 60 million they are paying. So if you are talking about they spend all the money at a go, that one is not going to happen because they didn't pay their buyout clause. So that one is out. And the replacement, Jota is not there. Núñez is not there, and you also have Diaz not being there. So it means that now they would have to replace. And apart from that too, they are thinking of either winning the Champions League or replacing or defending the league or both. Salah's position, obviously, they would have someone like if you bring in Ekitike can play on the left, the right, or the center. If you bring in Isak, of course, the front. So Ekitike, I'm sorry, but if Isak comes, definitely he might be on the bench. And I don't think it would be an issue, although he's bought for 90 million. The reason being that, of course, someone like Isak is thinking of going to the World Cup. Now he and Gyökeres are the two people who would be pricing to play number 9 for the country. Ekitike, unfortunately, he is in an era where he might never be called to the national team, because that number 9 position, Dembele, Mbappe, Desiree Doué, and Kolo Muani. Kolo Muani does not even get a chance to start. They can send about 4 or 5 attackers for just these 3. So, and at the moment, he's not even being called often, and he's a French. So for him, sacrificing him to be on the bench and coming in as a support player for now wouldn't be an issue. And with the left, there is Gakpo. Gakpo is there, and you also have Ekitike, who can also play there. So for Liverpool, they would want to strengthen. They would want to really have backup on backup, because now they would be in 4 tournaments, Champions League, and you would also have players, because the World Cup season, you can't overplay the players. Everybody want to play. Salah, this might be the last chance that he might try to play the World Cup. So I don't think he would want to play every single match, because the last World Cup, he was denied by Senegal. So you would have to rest him. Who will step in? That is why you have to get Gakpo. Harvey Elliott is not somebody you can rely on. So you would have to get Ekitike and the rest to play. In the same way, like I said, because of the state they don't want to experience what City experienced. After City won in 2023, they forgot and they offloaded without replacement. They allowed Gundogan to go. They didn't really have a better replacement. They thought Phil Foden would step in and do everything there is. Of course, the league he did well, by Champions League. They also allowed Mahrez to go. They brought in Savinho. And Savinho could not do what Mahrez did. If they had Mahrez there and had Savinho too there, then you could have Savinho learning from Mahrez. But that's what they did. And now, I think they are also ending up repeating the same mistakes they did, because Kevin De Bruyne leaving, I don't know who replaces them. Liverpool do not want to make that mistake. The OGs will be there. Of course, you can't talk the OGs to be Darwin Núñez, but you could get someone like Salah is still there. You can have Cody Gakpo is still there, and you can bring Ekitike to be an understudy. Isak is a top player, so he can start. So for me, Liverpool financial fair play is not affecting them.
Kofi, do Liverpool need to push for Alexander Isak deal?
Well, they can, but from where I sit, I don't think Newcastle are going to sell. Newcastle.
What has happened to Sesko?
Yeah. Newcastle are not going to sell.
That's where the Jackson issue also comes in.
Liverpool will not go. Newcastle will not go for Jackson.
Well, Newcastle will be crazy if they swapped Jackson for Isak.
You make 90 million, 100 million for Isak, but Chelsea also asking for about 70, 80 for Jackson.
Yeah, they are pricing Jackson at 80 million pounds. That's crazy. I mean, you look at some of the figures that Chelsea are selling their players for. Absolutely crazy. You understand? But I do not think that Isak to Liverpool is going to happen this particular summer.
But the guy has absconded the train, No,
but he still is a bona fide.
He's going to be
No, he's a bona fide property of as a Newcastle United.
We can bench you and pay you.
Exactly. So I think that two adults, somebody needs to get a cool head in the room, play for a season. Newcastle can prepare better, get a proper replacement, and then sell him if Liverpool are still interested.
Well, it's been an interesting conversation here on Sports 101, and we've had a lengthy conversation. We've talked about the Ballon d'Or nominations, we've talked about Man United and their spending, and some of the rumors surrounding United. We've talked about Liverpool, we've talked a bit about Chelsea, but subsequently we'll delve more into the conversation about how ready the other teams are for the upcoming season. Talking about Chelsea, talking about Arsenal. Real Madrid are assembling a solid team. They have a new manager. We'll be getting into that conversation as well. And so stay tuned, like, subscribe, follow us, Sports 101 on YouTube, Facebook, and we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram and TikTok as well. And so let's know what you think, let's know your opinion, let's continue the debate in the comment section here on Sports 101. Until another episode, bye bye.